everybody, what's going on this week? We answer questions. First question, why do people buy lunchbox amps? Interesting question. I can't speak for everybody, but I can tell you why I did, or have a couple. I think they're just nice options. Trying to crank, a Marshall 2555X 100 watt Silver Jubilee amp is deafening. Just deafening. Play the 2525H, which is the, 25 watt version. Pretty good at the end of the day. I don't think there's any issue playing that amp over the 100 watt monster. If you've got the space to play or the reason to play 100 watt through a 412, absolutely do it. If you are a bedroom player, 20 watt amps are awesome because you can get them to sound really good. You can push the tubes and it's not a 100 watt monster trying to do low volume stuff. Just inexperience using like a dual rectifier, you're turning the volume up, and as soon as you get between like 8 and 9 on the volume knob, dramatically jumps in volume, and then it's just like unusable. It like playing in a room by yourself, and I don't know why you would play that loud for any extended period of time. Low wattage amps are really good for that. Not necessarily little lunch boxes. I mean, you can get 30 watt amplifiers that sound amazing, and they're only 30 watts to begin with. Even 15-20 watt amps through a 412 is going to sound massive and can totally keep up with the drummer. So I'm assuming that's why people buy them. You can get good fast tube breakup. They sound good because you can cook them, and you can plug into any cabinet and still keep up with the drummer. It's not a big deal. The features on some of them are limited, but they're getting better. And a lot of low wattage amps have EL84s, which I know a lot of people aren't crazy about, but some of them are really nice. There's some EL34 ones out there. Trying to compare like a 20 watt up against a 100 watt, it just doesn't have the balls behind it in some cases, but some of the lower wattage amps are really, really nice. It also depends what you're using too, because like a Fender Princeton sounds amazing, and that thing's just a small little combo amp that's not really pumping out a whole lot of wattage. Question 2, what's the last thing you bought that didn't live up to the hype? I don't know. I think that I've gone through a couple Fano guitars that I haven't necessarily been crazy about. So I think that's probably it, and they're old alt-de factos that have been around for, oh my gosh, some of them are a decade old at this point, and I thought they were really nice in the beginning, and you're all excited, and then after a couple weeks, it wasn't necessarily what I was looking for overall. So they kind of went, but that's pretty much it lately. Been getting a lot of different pedals and playing with those, so I haven't really been disappointed by anything. Unfortunately, I really just say those guitars. Question 3, if you could be in a room with all the gear you've ever owned, is there anything you gladly take back? I don't know, that's kind of an interesting question, because I would love to be in a room with all the gear I've had and just try stuff again. And, things you got rid of because you needed money or you really wanted this other thing and gas struck. That's a very different thing than I just want to try it again. Because I do think I've sold some guitars that I kind of kick myself for. And in the moment, it just seemed like a good idea. I wasn't playing it. I probably shouldn't have sold some of them. But for the most part, it's like I'm okay with the amps I've bought and sold and pedals and things. I think there's like maybe a couple pedals I'd want back. And that's just because I really like them, and maybe I'm just romanticizing them because other pedals kind of do similar things, but I miss my El Cap and my Flint by Strymon. I thought they were wonderful pedals, but I've got plenty of other choices that sound great too. So I think it's probably guitars. I mean, without romanticizing the whole thing, there are probably certain guitars I probably wouldn't have sold, because I have gone through a couple of amps where I've sold them and bought them back along the way. I mean, it wasn't the same amp, but it was the same model. I think it's one of those things you live and learn, and the grass isn't always necessarily greener, but I would love to be in a room with every single piece of gear I bought before. Just all the pedals, all the guitars, all the amps, because actually I'm kind of curious of just how many there have been, because honestly I have no idea at this point. Which I guess is kind of a shame, but I would ask you the same question. Like, is there anything that you have gotten rid of that you would like to try again with some of your current gear? Like that one Les Paul you got rid of 10 years ago, and now you have a different amp, and you got rid of it because of the amp you had. I mean, I'm sure we all have that kind of issue. So I pose the question to you, if you could be in the room with all the gear you've ever owned, would you want to, and is there anything you think you'd grab out of that pile? If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. As always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Many more videos to come. Don't miss one sub.